Welcome to our pre-business track advising session. Sorry for the delay. We have a few YouTube channels streaming live now, but I think we are live and people are coming over to this channel. For those of you who can't stay with us the entire time, this is recorded and will be posted on your Emory reference pages in Emory Essentials. So good afternoon. My name is Sherry Obrentz. I am an associate dean in the Office for Undergraduate Education, which is really just academic affairs at Emory College. And today we are joined by Anna Gibbons, who's the director of the pre-BBA Advising and Admissions in Goizueta. So she's going to walk you through kind of all you need to know before you register for your classes this fall, and really kind of thinking through your first 3 or 4 semesters, but really getting started. She's going to be an amazing resource once you come to campus, and we'll have open hours for you to visit her. So if you're thinking about applying to the business school at any time, you can visit her while you're on campus. But this session is really meant to give you that high-level introduction to what it means to be in the BBA program and how to get started. I'll say this at the end as well, but this is not going to replace your pre-registration advising meetings. So you should have received an email yesterday from your pre-registration advisor inviting you to schedule a 1-hour meeting to talk about fall registration. And we hope that you take the information that you learned from today's session and apply it to that meeting as well. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Anna, who will get started.
Hi everyone, again my name is Anna Gibbons and I am here from Goizueta Business School. So today I am going to talk to you all about what it means to be a BBA at Emory. And so BBA means Bachelor's in Business Administration, but it's also the term we kind of affectionately refer to all of our students studying business at Goizueta as. So the BBA degree is preparation for a lot more than just a career in business. We're going to teach you critical thinking, how to analyze data, how to create solutions and recommendations, and we're really going to help you hone your communication skills. So through our program you will obviously study business, but you will get a lot more than that as you progress through. The students who are in our program end up working all over the world in a variety of functional areas, many of those in business, but some will find themselves in careers outside of business as well. We really are going to be focused on your personal development and growth as you go through our program. You will have a close relationship with an assigned advisor that you will get once you join the business school, and they're going to coach you and kind of identify competencies and goals and things that you want to work on throughout your time at Emory and Goizueta. So as you work with them, you'll kind of come up with an action plan to help you get to graduation and beyond. Continuing, we also offer a multitude of leadership opportunities. So in our program, there are many clubs and organizations that you can be engaged with as soon as you get to Emory, but you may find yourself leading as you continue on in the business school. We also have an undergraduate business student leadership conference every year that's one of the largest in the country. So really cool opportunities for engagement and leadership growth. And we're also a pretty intimate community, so I think you'll find at Emory you're going to be a part of a close-knit community, but that can get even a little bit smaller once you join the business school and have a network of peers all working towards careers in business. So I think you'll know your faculty well, you'll know the students well, and have a lot of fun. We have weekly social events that we are kind of known for in our courtyard, where you'll get to connect with students, faculty, and also potential employers. Another really important thing for us is the Goizueta BBA Creed that was created by some of our students in fall of 2017, and it really kind of espouses what we see as core to who we are. So respect, scholarship, integrity, leadership, diversity, community, and celebration of each other. So that was a little bit of an introduction, but now I'm going to talk about the nitty-gritty and things that you will want to know as you are preparing for your academic life at Emory. So business prerequisites can be taken in any order. There's not one way to take them, and they're really going to be tailored to you based on what you've done prior to coming to Emory, where your interests lie, what you're most comfortable with as you get started. These can also still be in process at the time of application. So as you're looking at this list, please don't think that this will be your fall schedule. You should not be in all of these things as you start at Emory. But Calculus 1 or Math 111, Economics, so you'll take both micro and macro economics, and you can see those are identified by Econ 101 and Econ 112 here. Or we have a class that combines the two called Business Economics, and that's also an option for students to take. Financial Accounting, Data and Decision Analytics, and a continued writing course. And this continued writing course will actually be after your freshman writing requirement, so that's not something you would be worrying about most likely in this first semester.
So Anna, can we follow up a few things that I know will come up, especially for students who might have AP or IB credits for economics? Well, we can start actually at the top of the list. You will accept AP and IBs, so if you have any of those AP or IB credits,
yes,
there's something that students can use and keep, and we can get to that in a little bit.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. We have a slide that'll go into a little bit more detail, but if you have AP credit for calculus, for economics, for statistics, those are actually all things that may come into play and eliminate the need for you to continue in some of these prerequisites. That said, we are really more interested in seeing you take new content in your curriculum. We don't want you repeating a lot of things. We want you to get new stuff that's going to tell us how you are as a student at Emory.
So looking at this list, at the most, you'll have to take 6 classes.
Correct.
But many students will come in with some of those credits too.
Mm-hmm.
I know a question that comes up a lot is, should I really take that micro 101 and 112, or do I do the combined class? Do you have any tips for that about one or the other?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing to consider is if you already have taken one of those, micro or macro, you absolutely should take the other. Don't take the business econ class. So if you've already had some of the content, it's not all going to be new, and so it'd be much better and a much better indicator for us of how your time at Emory is going if you take the class you haven't taken before. If you don't have either of those, and say you didn't come in with a lot of AP credit and you are looking at this list and thinking about how you want to fit it with some of your other interests, the business econ class can be the great hybrid to eliminate a class space that's dedicated to something else. Another thing to know about the micro and macro is that they are satisfying other general education requirements, so it's not really in addition to anything that you would have to take. It kind of fills 2 spots at once.
Yeah. And I know that there's no order to these classes, but if there was something that maybe for first semester, first year student, it's better to wait. Are there anything on the list? I've heard sometimes financial accounting. It's probably better to wait at least until the second semester, but
absolutely. Again, every student's going to be a little different. So, as you're talking to your advisor and things like that in the college, you can think about where your skills lie. But for some students, financial accounting would be one you could wait on. If you've had some exposure to statistics, something like data and decision analytics could be a good choice because you have had a little of that exposure ahead of time. It is your first semester at school, so if calculus is something that's a little daunting to you, I might wait on that one and take the economics first and things like that. But again, most of these fulfill a requirement, so if you did decide to take some and then actually decided business wasn't for you, that would be okay. You wouldn't be behind in any other area.
Yeah, and I'll add too that the continued writing class, or the CWRT, can be in any of our courses across the curriculum. So if you came in with AP or IB English credit, you could start with a continued writing even in your first semester or sometime in the spring. Otherwise, we really do recommend that you take that first year writing first to get the foundation, and then a continued writing before you apply to the business school.
And actually, one more note on that continued writing. It's really helpful for us to see that in a class that's not taught in a second language. There are amazing classes in those languages to take them in, but we really want to look at your critical thinking skills, and we're going to be able to see that a little bit more through a class that's in psychology or sociology or an area like that versus a foreign language.
Awesome. So we got a little bit ahead of this, but classes to start with in the first semester.
Yeah, so as we were saying, they're designed to be taken over the course of your first 3 to 4 semesters at Emory, so you by no means need to be in all of these. And you can, when you're looking at the list, some of them may feel a little heavy on the quantitative side, so what you really want to think about is how to balance your quantitative and your qualitative courses. So your courses that are focused heavily on numbers versus the ones that are going to be more writing, reading, and critical thinking. So I would, as you're going through and making your schedule, think about some things that are really just interesting and exciting to you that Emory offers, a class you've never been able to take before, and then also put in some of these prerequisites. We're going to look at your AP and IB credit as well, and we're going to talk more specifically about that in just a second. But if you already have a lot of these credits, you could potentially slow down how many prerequisites you take at a time. So maybe in that semester where you decide to take financial accounting, which is known to be a challenging course for some, you may not want to also have calculus and also have microeconomics. So you can kind of spread those out over your time.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this too, just with your pre-registration advising, but the goal for all of our students is to take somewhere between 15 and 19 credits, which is somewhere between 4 and 5 courses every semester. And so really taking 1 or 2 of these business prerequisites each semester also allows you to take other classes that you're interested in as you explore those interests, but you have those 3 or 4 semesters to finish it, so there really shouldn't feel like a rush to get through these business prerequisites.
And there's no benefit to doing that. We expect to see them scattered all throughout those first 4 semesters.
Awesome.
So another thing that comes up is how do my AP and IB test credits kind of factor in? So we accept AP or IB credit for Calculus 1, and that satisfies our calculus requirement. AP credit for microecon satisfies microeconomics. AP credit for macro satisfies macroeconomics. Pretty self-explanatory there. For the business school requirements, we accept the IB level higher econ as both of those 2 courses. And that's a little different than how the college counts that credit. So as you are thinking about your business prerequisites, you will have satisfied that. As you are thinking about just credit hours and things you've satisfied at Emory as a whole, you will need to follow what the Office of Undergraduate Education gives you as that equivalent. AP credit for statistics also does satisfy our ISOM 350 requirement. The name of that class is Data and Decision Analytics, which is a little bit a mystery at first, but it's actually a heavily based statistics class. And so you would get credit for that. It's going to show up as a QTM elective, but we know that it will satisfy that requirement. And so as we're going through your advising meetings and application, we will know that you've satisfied that.
The most important thing to do right now is to make sure you're submitting all of your AP and IB scores so that admissions actually post them on your transcript. So that's how the business school is actually going to see what you have credits for. You're only allowed to bring in 12 credits for credit, but if you've taken more AP exams, they will still show up on your transcript as zeros if you've gotten the right scores. And the business school will look at those too. So for now, don't worry about what you're taking for credit or not. Just submit all of your scores so we can get those. Do I have both micro and macro credit? Absolutely yes. If you have those, get those on your transcript. They will count and they will fulfill both of the econ requirements for the BBA.
Absolutely. Great.
All right.
So another thing that students often wonder is if they kind of go on a pre-BBA track and are joining the business school, is that all they're going to be able to do with their time at Emory? Will there be time for a second major or to explore another interest like pre-law or pre-health? Most anything you want to do is going to be possible. We will obviously want to plan carefully if you have a lot of interests, but we do have a large number of students that will double major in the college, and so as you start taking some of your general education courses and find that you just have a passion for psychology or a passion for econ and the ways that it is different from business, you would be able to pursue all of those interests. When it comes to the other pre-professional programs, with health, we have many students who complete both the health requirements and the BBA requirements. So there's going to be spaces in your schedule each semester that are not all having to be dedicated to business. So usually students will take 3 to 4 business classes and 1 to 2 college classes or electives simultaneously each semester, even after they've started kind of dedicating more of their time to business. The beauty of pre-law is that there isn't necessarily a specific set of coursework that you need to apply to law school. So we have a lot of business students who also know from the get-go that business and law kind of go together for them, and they see a career that might work in both of those fields. And so they will take our 2 law classes that we offer in the business school, as well as our ethics class, which has a law flavor, to kind of continue to prepare themselves. But you would be able to take the classes that the pre-law advisors are suggesting along with your BBA curriculum. Additionally, we do have a dual degree program with Georgia Tech for engineering. This is a pretty limited number of students that take on this task. It is very advantageous and ambitious, but however, our valedictorian that just graduated did the 3-2 program in the business school and at Georgia Tech and graduated with a perfect 4.0.
Nice.
Pretty amazing. So it's doable. But it does require a lot of careful planning, and it's something you'd want to indicate to your OUE advisor that is an interest of yours pretty soon once you arrive at Emory, to start thinking about how we can make that fit for you and be in a timeline that works well for graduating.
I'll say I just looked at almost all of your profiles from the student profile that they do, and many of you have interests in both business and health or business dual degree, or some of you in all of them, which is wonderful. I think really taking the time in your first year and probably your first 2 years to explore, to take those classes, you will have time to fit them in your schedule, but some themes and patterns are going to emerge for you about really where your passions lie and what you're interested in. So at the beginning, I think it's really possible to start with some of the prereqs for pre-health. Like we said, nothing for pre-law, so you're good there. And even the dual degree ones, some of those science classes or math classes.
Right.
And nothing would be a waste because 1, you need credits, and 2, they're all fulfilling a lot of general education requirements too. There have been a few questions. I just want to go back to this AP credit about 4s or 5s for econ. Econ actually only accepts a 5 for the APs, so that was an error in a comment there. It's not a 4 or 5, and you can look at the equivalencies about our APs in your Emory Essentials reference pages. It has a list of all of the AP and IB credits that we accept and what scores that you need.
And for the business school, we do defer to the college. We work together for those equivalencies, so what the college accepts is what we're going to accept.
Perfect.
Okay, so what do you need to apply to the BBA program? From the get-go, I just want to say that we are excited about you and are looking for ways to get you into the business school. We are not looking for ways to keep you out. So our goal is not to be a scary place, where it's hard to get in and things like that. We really just want to make sure that business is the right fit for you. It is as much about you exploring us as us getting to know you. So what you will need to do is complete the prerequisites, but it is okay to be enrolled in them at your time of application. Through meetings with me after you're at Emory, we'll kind of talk about the timeline that would be the best fit for you, and that's going to be based on when you are going to kind of hit junior standing and how your credit hours are coming together as you start Emory. The online application has an application form, an essay about kind of leadership and involvement at Emory, a resume, which honestly just helps you get started for preparing for internships and other things like that. And then transcripts if you've attended any classes outside of Emory, and then letters of recommendation. We're going to look for one of those to be from a faculty member here, so we do want you to get to know your faculty members. It's a great practice to get used to early. And then we're going to look for one that is more oriented towards things you've done on campus with an organization or a coach, or if you've worked on campus, things like that. So that's kind of the formula of things that you will need to kind of think about as you are spending your time on campus and figuring out where your kind of priorities are and things you want to be involved in.
Yeah, and I'll just do another plug for getting to know faculty members and staff and other people from the beginning. All of our faculty here at Emory have office hours, and they really do want you to come and visit them. That's a great way for you to get to know faculty members so that they can write that letter of recommendation. If you connect with someone, if you really like their class in any given semester, making sure you're maintaining those relationships so that when you're applying in your second year, you have someone to ask. I know when I get asked for letters of recommendation, if all I know about the student was that they've been in my class, there's not a lot more for me to write. But those who have actually come to see me during office hours, or we've had interactions kind of around campus, it's really fun to write those letters of recommendation for students too.
Absolutely. And I was a student here in the early 2000s, and some of my faculty are still here, and it's so fun to connect later. And when I see some of my students now or taking classes with them, we have some pretty memorable faculty, so it's fun to share stories and things like that. But great people to get to know.
Right. Sorry, our clicker's
sad. Here we go. Okay, now try.
okay.
All right, so as I mentioned, we're going to talk about when the best time for you to apply to the BBA program would be. So we accept applications in both the fall and the spring. So for you guys entering, this would be either applying in fall of your sophomore year or spring of your sophomore year for the subsequent semester. You have to have completed at least one full year at Emory to apply to the business school. So nothing you need to worry about now. You don't need to get online and check out that application. We definitely want you to get here, get to know Emory, get to know us, and then continue on with that application. If you apply for our early application or spring application, the deadline will be mid-September of your sophomore year. You will have needed to accrue at least 56 credits. And that includes your AP and IB, but does not include PACE, Health, or PE. So those are one credit classes you'll have that we don't count towards that 56 hour credit total. If you wait to apply, you will apply regular or fall application, and that application deadline is early to mid-February of your sophomore year. And the credit hour requirement for that is at least 60 hours, and then again, that includes your AP and IB credit, but does not include PACE, Health, or PE. When you apply is really an individual decision. For some students, they know right now that business is definitely the path that they want to be on. So you may have already taken some of those prerequisites through AP work. You've already started your own business or have your own idea and things you want to do. So you definitely know you're on that path. And so for those students, a lot of times they will work towards that spring application period. Others of you will dabble in business and kind of maybe make that decision a little later. And so the fall application, the regular admission cycle, is also a great option. So really that'll be an individual choice. We'll talk about it during the pre-BBA drop-in hours I'll touch on in just a minute, and you'll be able to kind of just see what the best fit for you is. No right or wrong, no better or worse, definitely just both good paths to the business school.
Yeah, I'd like to really reiterate that because I know when you get to campus and there'll be a lot of students who think that they have an exact plan before they've even taken any classes here. So really encouraging you to work your own schedule, to meet with Anna and her team just so that you know what's right for you, because you won't be behind. There's nothing behind.
Right.
With this, we really want it to be the right timeline for you, and you're an individual, so that will be your own decision and not your roommates or your parents or anyone else on campus.
And especially if you are pursuing multiple interests at Emory, so you are maybe doing a second major or you're looking at that pre-health or pre-law, things like that, the pace at which you take your classes and how you combine them may be very different from a peer who knows they only are interested in business, that's where their full focus is, things like that. So we'll talk about a lot of that nuance as we meet together. Great. So on that note, what pre-BBA advising is available? So we have drop-in hours in the Goizueta Business School in the BBA program office every day of the week. We'll publish that schedule for all of you, and we have a whole pre-BA site that we'll direct you to that'll kind of give you everything you need to know. But you'll be able to meet with myself or my colleague, our Associate Dean, Libby Egnor, daily to kind of just ask your questions, look over your transcript and kind of see what you've taken and maybe some suggestions for the following semester, explore your interests, find out if the business school really is the right fit for you. We don't do appointments. We typically are just first come, first served. And actually this year we're rolling out our first pre-BBA peer coaches. So in addition to meeting with myself and my colleague, you'll also have the opportunity just to talk to current pre-BBAs while you wait to maybe ask your more technical question to us. So they'll be able to answer a lot of just those, do I really have to take this class? Or, what semester would you suggest? And things like that. You'll have some peers who are in the process, have been accepted to the business school, who are really eager to help. So super excited about those students. I think they're going to be a great resource for you all. And they're the students you can ask something that maybe you think is a silly question, which none of them are, and that kind of thing. So really excited, but you'll be able to meet with those students anytime you come in for drop-in hours. We'll have them on hand as well. We also do information sessions in the residence halls. We call them cookie chats throughout the semester. So we'll be coming to you at some point to kind of talk more about the business program. We're going to be doing some Zoom sessions so you can get on and just talk to us from the comfort of your residence hall. So get on your computer and just chat and ask quick questions as well. So lots of opportunities to learn more. Your peers are also a great resource, but when it comes to a requirement or things like that, I always advise you talk to myself or my colleague Libby just to make sure that your situation is matching, the one your peer may have informed you about. That peer information is great, but not always 100% accurate.
Yeah, and I'd like to add on a few other things about advising and how advising works. So over the summer, you're still going to meet with a pre-registration advisor. That's actually a staff member in the Office for Undergraduate Education in the college, and they are all very well trained in what the prerequisites are and kind of knowing about general balance, but they are not advisors in the business school, and so they're going to get you started. And then you're going to go to Anna or Libby's open hours starting in the fall to ask your questions, but you really can't mess up. So just knowing
Absolutely.
that. The other thing is that you're going to be assigned to a faculty advisor this fall in the College of Arts and Sciences. And while some of them might know the prerequisites for the business school, they're all actually faculty in the College of Arts and Sciences. So they're not going to be experts either. So I'm just letting you all know this so that you don't get frustrated or you say, nobody knows what I'm going to do, because Anna and her team are still here
Absolutely.
for you. So you just get extra layers of advising. But this is really to get you thinking about when you go to kind of like a specialist. And so pre-BBA advising is really specialty advising, in addition to the general advising you're getting from pre-registration or your college faculty members in the fall.
And we don't know everything about every college class in the business school, so you want those other advisors to be guiding you on which language would be the best fit based on what your interests are and what you've studied before, all of those kinds of things. So definitely utilize all of us.
Absolutely.
So as we mentioned, you'll want to know how you can connect with us or when you can come to those hours. We're saying in the fall, but you'll want to know a little bit more about what in the fall means. So if you go to the website referenced here, emory.biz/applyBBA, you'll receive all of our emails about advising, events, and programs that we have going on once you arrive on campus. We will start our drop-in hours the first day of classes. So we try to be really good about holding those every day. There'll be a few times during the year, like the week of Thanksgiving and some things like that, where we'll cancel them just because most of you won't be here. But generally speaking, they are every day. And we will also be doing information sessions during orientation. So for you and your families, we'll have those sessions once you're on campus as well. So just in terms of a few other things, what our expectations are, we are looking for intellectually curious students. We want you to explore everything that Emory has to offer. That is truly one of the benefits of our BBA program, and joining us a little later in your Emory career, you get to see everything that Emory has. So take classes in all kinds of places. We don't want to see that you've only taken math, economics, and business. We want you to take that sociology class that just sounds really cool, or explore a language that you've never been exposed to, all of those kinds of things. We also value resiliency. So maybe you do take a class that was especially challenging. That is okay. Or maybe you thought you might be pre-med and now are switching to business, and so you have taken a lot of sciences that were super challenging. Those are not going to be things that would hinder your ability to get into the business school. We want to see that you've challenged yourself, that you've taken full course loads and all of that kind of thing. And we are also looking for change agents. So we want people who are going to do good while they're at Emory and then go out into the world and do good too. So we love seeing how you're involved on campus, the impact that you're making in your community, all of those things. They translate very well to the business world. So please, get engaged. Don't spend all of your time focused on those prerequisites. We want to see you really enjoy your time here.
And really, beginning in orientation, you get to go to a student involvement fair or activities fair, so you'll get to learn a lot about how to get involved on campus.
Absolutely.
And you're all going to be taking a PACE 101 class this fall, which really helps introduce you to other resources on campus so that you know where to go for those time management skills, and how to balance all the academics plus all the wonderful out-of-class activities that you're going to participate in too. All right. I think this is the end of our formal presentation. Oh, no, we still have a slide or two.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
So what happens during orientation? So as mentioned, we will have information sessions during your August orientation. but we also do hold a BBA orientation after you've been admitted to the business school. So because you will be kind of joining a new group and a curriculum designed specifically for business, we have an overnight orientation that we take you on once you've been accepted, so either in the fall or in the spring prior to the semester, where you get to really get to know the community, kind of understand what it means to be a business student at Emory, learn about career management opportunities, study abroad, all of those things. So your orientation to Emory is going to be focused on everything Emory has to offer, and then we'll have a secondary one once you've been admitted to the business school to focus more specifically on your life as a BBA.
And we think orientation's great, so 2 orientations.
Absolutely.
Sounds super fun.
Yeah, especially when we take you off campus, we feed you lots of food, you get to do cool things. And finally, kind of what do you need to do before registration? Really, as we already touched on, you want to make sure that all of your AP and IB credits are being recognized, and so that you've submitted all of that information to Emory so that we can properly evaluate it. You want to let your pre-registration guide and your advisor know that you are interested in business so that they can help guide you towards maybe which one of those prerequisites would be the best fit. And then if you do have questions prior to your arrival, you can feel free to reach out to me, Anna Gibbons. My email is actually anna.hobby, so don't let it throw you off. But reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer your questions. But again, we'll have a lot of time for that once you're here. So every day, all semester long, you can come visit me.
Awesome. All right, so we're looking, if you see us looking away, we actually can see all of your live chat questions. So we'll probably go through a few of these since we have a few more minutes to go through. There have been a few questions about the maximum number of credits students can take, and it's been answered, but just in case, in your first semester, you can take a maximum of 19 credits. That's already a lot of credits.
A lot of credits.
And so I love the eagerness of wanting to take more, but 19 really is a good, at a max, place to start. And that range of 15 to 19 is absolutely okay. It gives you some wiggle room. You will graduate on time if you take somewhere between 15 and 17 every semester. The reason we even have it go up to 19 in that first semester is because everybody's taking health and PACE, and those are 1-credit courses. But really, 4 to 5 academic courses each semester is what we're looking for too.
And, you know, depending on your goal with your credit hours, you can obviously do the math and kind of think, what would it take for me to have 56 by the end of my, after my 3rd semester. And so if that's the case, look at your APIBs, look at how many that would mean, and I think you'll find that you still will be very well within that 15 to 19 range and be totally fine.
Yeah. There were some questions about when you can start overloading, and again, our producer Blaze is helping us out here, but after you've earned at least a 3.0 cumulative GPA, which won't be until after your fall grades post, you can enroll in up to 22 credit hours. Again, that's a lot of classes. That's like almost 7 classes in most cases, so it's not necessary to do that, but some people have opportunities to add in those credits once you have that GPA.
And as you're thinking about your schedule and you are looking at how those classes are going to fill, you do want to leave time for that extracurricular and co-curricular opportunities. There's some really amazing things to do here. And so think about that too, because it could be that an organization you're in takes about the same amount of time as a class does in your weekly schedule. And so you want to think about how you're going to be able to balance that. I think I saw a question about study abroad.
Yeah.
So I saw a question about studying abroad. In my previous role in the business program, I actually was our director of international programs, so I know a lot about that. But studying abroad at Emory, there's so many opportunities. You can do it before you start the business school or after. If you do it after you start the business school, most of our study abroad is through full semester exchanges with top business schools all over the world. So we have 45 programs in 29 countries, so lots of opportunity for you to explore all over, and they are, again, at top business schools, so you'll be able to study, continue your business curriculum. You won't kind of need to pause that to study abroad. So we have a lot of students who do that. Close to 50% of our students study abroad at some point, either in the college, prior to their enrollment in the business school or during their time in the business school. And we also have a growing number of students who are seeking out global internships, so we see a lot of students doing some exploration through that.
Yeah, and I will say, if I could have every student study abroad, I would recommend it.
Absolutely.
You would probably recommend it. Students can start studying abroad this summer after their first year. And we have a number of Emory programs led by Emory faculty, so a little bit different too than when you're in the business school. So great if you're interested in being a globe trekker. Really good to start early on.
It can also be a really great opportunity to take some second major classes. So if you're also studying a language or political science or things like that, some of those broad programs allow you to make a lot of progress in a short amount of time in a very cool way.
Yeah.
So
there were some questions a little bit different than APIB about dual enrollment and taking some community college classes. So I can explain the general policy and then maybe let you fill in for the business school as well. If you did dual enrollment in high school and your credits counted for your high school graduation credits, we will not accept them. But if you did some dual enrollment and you took courses, one on an actual college campus, and they were above and beyond your high school requirements, then you can submit those transcripts and the Office of Admission will review them to see if they'll get put on the transcript. So in any case, if you've took dual enrollment, if you have college transcripts, submit them to the admissions office and they'll ask you some questions to see if they'll count. It's hard for us to answer that generically because everybody's situation's a little bit different. But I imagine if it's on the transcript.
If it's on the transcript, we definitely count it. And then occasionally there are students who will take a class in a summertime that we will accept for a requirement. So it may be that you came to business really late and there's one of those prereqs you don't have in, but it's the only thing. So we, at times, will waive a requirement if you've successfully completed that course at another school or a community college, but the dual enrollment policy is the same.
Yeah. There's some questions about when to take language. So for everybody at Emory College and the business school, actually taking 2 semesters of a language is a requirement, a general education requirement. My thought is if you want to continue in a language, you've already taken a number of years of, let's say, Spanish or French or Italian, and you really, Chinese, want to keep going in that language, I would recommend trying to start in your first year, or at least in the second semester. Because you're taking 2 semesters, and if you really want that proficiency, I think having more time is always great. If you maybe languages aren't your favorite, or potentially you're switching to a new language because now we have so many more options. It really depends on the rest of your schedule and how you want to fit that in. A lot of our language classes at the 100 level are 4 or even 5 credits, so they're meeting a lot. It's a really big time commitment, so that will depend on kind of the other classes that you're taking in the balance. The question is whether you had to finish that requirement before the business school.
And the answer is no, but I would heed all of that advice. When you are in the business school, having a class that might meet 5 times a week or at least 4 might make it a little bit more challenging to schedule some of the other things you're really excited about. And so it can be a little bit more challenging. We have many, many students who take it during their time in the business school, but if it fits in your schedule nicely, I would recommend doing it before. In the business school, we don't have many classes that meet on Fridays, and so once you've started the business school, it's going to be a little challenging to want to get up for that 9:30 Spanish class if you don't have anything else going on that day. So that would be a recommendation, but students do it at all points in time. And again, just thinking about how much you enjoy studying language. If it's something exciting to you and creates balance for you, it can be great to go with your business classes. But if it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, isn't something you're as excited about, I would take it early and kind of just have that hurdle passed.
Or you could study abroad in that summer and get some language knocked out of the way.
And I think we have some summer online options for that now as well.
We do, which is really amazing. There's some questions about the resume and what that should include. I know I have thoughts about high school resumes and starting over in college, but for the business school, what are you looking for in a resume?
So we will give you a whole guide on how to do that. What we are really helping you do is get your resume in a format that is going to be appropriate for a business student. And so we're just kind of giving you a head start because that's something you'll do very early as you enter our program. As a freshman or sophomore, there may be 1 or 2 work experiences that I would include on there from high school, but you do want to largely be focused on what you've done since starting your time at Emory, maybe the summer before, that kind of thing. But again, we'll give you a format for that and kind of walk you through what we would expect to see. So not something you need to worry about too much now, but it is always good to keep a kind of a running list of all those experiences you have had so you don't forget about any of them.
Yeah, and our Career Center, which is the University Career Center, is available for students to visit from the very, very beginning. We'll talk about them as a resource in PACE 101, but if you want to get a jump on that resume, if you maybe are having a work-study position starting this fall and you want your resume ready to go for that or for that the on-campus work-study fair. They have really great outlines and tips on their website, so I think it's just Career Center at emory.edu, or Google it. That's the way I look at things. But they'll have some really nice guidelines for how to start a college resume also. There are also some questions about when, if you're thinking about doing a major or minor in the college but going to the business school, when you finish that.
So usually you would do that major in tandem with your business degree. So it would be pretty rare that you would be able to get through that whole college major before entering the business school. I wouldn't plan to. You're going to have plenty of time to do those together. And honestly, some of those classes for the second major are going to be, you'll be more prepared for them and ready for them as you progress through your career at Emory. So some of them are designed for students who've been through 3 classes,
right.
3 years of study. Once you have been accepted to the business school, you'll redeclare that second major if you haven't, or if you declare it for the first time if you haven't already. And you are going to graduate with a Bachelor's of Business Administration. That's what your diploma is going to say. But your transcript is going to list Bachelor's of Business Administration and then also psychology or chemistry or whatever that second major is. So you'll be able to see those, but your degree home is going to be the business school if you're a business student.
And if you go to the business school, there was a question about minors. You actually can't have a minor in the college, so it's only a second major. And students will often say, well, why not, or why can't I? You can still take those classes. So even if it's not a notation on your transcript, if you decide to take 5 Spanish classes or 5 social classes, you can always talk about that in a resume.
Absolutely.
You could talk about that in an interview without having that specific designation on your transcript. So I don't think that's a waste of time or space either, especially if you just love the classes.
Yeah, we'll often have students who list coursework in, and they'll list 4 or 5 courses that they've taken in a specific area that they feel like applies to something that they're pursuing. So.
We have maybe 1 or 2 more questions I saw some about when do the 56 versus the 60 hours, if we can maybe break that down a little bit about when they're completed or if they're in progress, or the difference between those.
Sure. So those will be what you've completed before you start the program. So if you are starting in your spring semester, then you would need 56 by the completion of the fall of your sophomore year. And same goes for the 60. You would need 60 before you start in fall of your junior year, so upon completion of that spring of your sophomore year. The benefit to the spring to fall, there could be opportunities to take 1 summer class if you weren't quite to that 60, so there's a little bit of fluctuation and nuance there, but typically it would be completed by the time you enter, not by the time you apply.
Awesome. All right, I think we've answered most of the questions. Producer Blaze, is there anything else that you want to ask us?
It seems that things have been covered.
Okay, great. Well, we want to thank Anna so much for being here. This is our first track advising meeting, and so we actually have a few more track advising presentations the rest of this week. So if you are one of those students who's thinking pre-law, pre-health, dual degree, you can tune in for the rest of those this week or watch this one again, which will get posted on YouTube Live. I will also remind you to please make your pre-registration advising appointment. So you should have received an email from your pre-registration advisor with a link to their schedule. Those are 1-hour meetings, and we'll really get into the nitty-gritty of building that fall schedule, including what you've learned today from Anna about the pre-BBA prerequisites or any other prerequisites. You should also be completing your Emory Essentials 2, which is really going to teach you about the nuts and bolts and the technical skills for registration. So registration won't take place until August 12th, but we're helping you build those skills now so that you feel really confident and prepared to do that. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks again to Anna.
Thank you, guys. Looking forward to meeting you this fall for sure.
We will see you at orientation. Bye.